Okay, should be recording. I'm just going to make this video for some people that have asked how I do my run. There are some things I do different to try to distance myself from the borers, to group them up, to hopefully save a little bit of mana at different times, and as well as just some stuff I'm doing to attempt to save the slimes and borers. This is certainly a work in progress. I'm still gathering data, but this is kind of where I'm at in the current run. So anyway, I'll just show you what that looks like. This is kind of like a mashup of a bunch of different videos I've seen in Mara, so I can't claim anything as my own, but I have modified it to some degree to assist with the way I do the pull. But anyway, for the most part, I'll be quiet unless I feel like something needs to be said at a certain time to clarify something I do differently that I feel like needs mentioned. But otherwise, we'll go ahead and get started, and we'll start the pull. Whenever you use the wand, you certainly want to make sure you're on the ground when you do it. If you're mid-air when you click the wand, it will the timer on it will be off, and you'll have to wait like an extra half second. Here specifically, if you jump against the wall at about a 30% angle, or a 30-degree angle, you can actually get them to stop moving, as you can see. So I actually use that to get some distance on them here. And this just allows me to not have to cast to slow them down, and not have to do the cone of cold method as a lot of people will do in that part. Here I tend to run straight here recently, and I just kind of do a big arc. This is specifically to try to group them up, again without having to cast, and as you can see I'm now at pretty much a max mana. And as you can tell, it groups them up fairly nicely without having to use any mana whatsoever. If you are a gnome, obviously, as Alliance, this is actually part of the reason this is getting recorded for, and it's an actual Alliance player. Your run may be a little different. I know you all have to run to the left, I believe. You may have to blink here potentially. I tend not to, just so they're not too far behind, but if you're taking a longer path, then you might have to, so just take that into consideration. And we have unfortunate pathing with the sisters, which that's okay. When I do I always like these little 3 things here in the water. I usually try to cast right in between those, somewhere on that first mob. I fire blast the first so I can blink forward, and then I can counterspell the next one. And you'll see this run is, especially this part, is very similar to how some of the first Mara videos were. I tend to freeze these, which gives me some time, because they do hit very hard. And there I actually hit my wand early, and like I said earlier, if you hit it when you're in midair, it actually causes you a slight delay when you hit the ground before it casts. Now, the difference in my run and a lot of these other runs, now I have seen some other videos where people let them wait. I do let them get all the way to this corner, this 90-degree corner here, and once they're there is when I will actually blink through and start the rest of the pool. And I usually put my ice barrier on a little sooner than that, usually like around when I drop down, but due to explaining what I'm doing, I obviously slipped my mind. And another unfortunate event, we have both Pats right here. Blizzard, you need 1 tick, so I let the 1 tick go off on Blizzard on those mobs in the back and get both groups in 1 second, and essentially a 1 second cast. And once you're down in here, a lot of people do AoE on the root with Blizzard. I do not. One thing to note is to try to stay away from slanted walls as well. Just like how I used the slanted walls in the beginning on the boars. Those, I have actually seen it reset the trees if you get too close. So, it's just something to note. What I've been doing is getting near this first step, wait until I see the mobs, and then blinking this way. And at the end, we will see I've got a add-on that dumps the... It's a weak aura that dumps the amount of kills into the chat log. Now with that method, allowing them to get that close, you do have to blink across. So again, something to note. And of course I'm staying in the wrong spot, which that's fine. We can recover without much issue. Let all the rest of the mobs get sort of close. And in other runs, you will see people save these mobs as oh shit mobs. That is certainly an option. I do not, however. I go up there and let them split, and it actually groups them up nicer than it normally would otherwise. And sometimes they're so grouped, I don't even cast Blizzard here. I'll just let them get close to me and then I'll drop down. In this case, they are a little bit spread, so I'm going to go ahead and take that opportunity to Blizzard. And again, try not to get right up on corners like I just got on that wall. I usually try to stay just at least 2 or 3 yards away from them. Especially jumping near them, where the game has to estimate where you're going to land. And of course, it's just personal belief, but I think it may actually have something to do with the reason they might go into that quick evasion that you'll see. That was a misclick. Pop a mana shield. Now I do things a little different. The reason I group them up there is because I get into this mob and I face pull it, and the second I face pull it, I blink forward, which allows them to group up a little better. The way I do pull this, where I'm kind of blinking at last second, it certainly does keep the mobs closer, so it's less safe than using Blizzard multiple times. But I feel like it does keep them more grouped in the long run, which again just makes it easier. Until somebody comes out and says that you have to hit them with Blizzard, you know, every so often to ensure the slimes and boars don't reset, I'll probably continue using this method just because it's easier in the long run for me. Here recently I've been changing this up. I'll go in and I will AoE those. I'll just pull this guy. He'll come with the group naturally. I want to slow this guy because we're too far ahead. Again, we're going to wait for that 1 second. And then I continue my long run around here. You don't have to pull them. All those tree mobs, just like these guys, they do face pull, or I'm sorry, they do chain pull. So you don't have to worry about them, you know, about hitting them specifically. It's not too big a deal. Okay, and sometimes these trees will get split up. A lot of times they're closer in this pack, but of course, like usual, you'll just AoE them here. Now, here's what I do differently. I slow down the first group just enough, and then I hit this mob over here and slow it quite a bit. Get just enough mana, and then I'll blink forward. From here, I will actually Blizzard the back, and I'd usually just throw it down like a second or two before they get there, and I'll go till 5 or 6 seconds based on how long the time was since they entered. So that slows them down, and again, I'll get 1 tick, so I wait till... Oh, I didn't wait my... You want to wait until 1.1 or 1.2 seconds when you're doing that Blizzard. That last tick would have actually grouped them up a little better. It's still pretty close, but I've noticed if I do that second blizzard tick on the front, it helps just a little bit in the long run. And again, once you do this so many times, even though you see them super close, there's not really much you have to worry about. And again, we want to stay away from the wall. Okay, see the mobs, blink. I'm going to try not to stand in the incorrect spot. I'll get a little closer to the tree on this jump, so I don't get hit so often. But this method, where I am waiting, like I said, you do have to wait for the blink across, so not a super big deal, but definitely want to get that timing down. As you can tell, I'm still learning the timing. I get the tick on all the mobs, pop my shield again, drop down, re-blizzard. And from here, it's obviously your standard pull, nothing special. One thing I do is I typically just do one tick of blizzard, like one cast of blizzard to each direction. This is just personal preference. Sometimes I'll change it up and I'll pull back and let the sprites run up. It's not a big deal either way. I pop the nature protection pot, which takes care of the vast majority of the damage, as well as my nature resist being very high with mage armor. That just allows me to sit here and be lazy. It makes this even less worrisome than it normally is. I mean, I can actually watch TV while doing this because it's just so easy at this point with the added nature resist and the nature resist pot. You can do it without the nature resist pot. The only issue is, then you actually have to make sure you're sidestepping and stuff, and it's just so much easier to just do the one jump up, one jump down. The mats for nature protection potion on Benediction, which is a server I'm on, is like 20 to 30 silver, so I will happily trade in 30 silver per run when you're getting 20 G or so in items, or even more. And that's just if you loot it yourself. So, anyway, of course that's the run, and hope you enjoyed watching.